All right, we're back with another episode. I'm very excited to bring you this episode because I have a lot to learn myself. I think the audience, I think the Trent audience itself, we have a lot to learn about school board. And I'm here with Austin Edwards. He's a man of many hats. I mean, he wears a lot of different hats. And he could tell you about them all. But right now, for today's episode, we're focusing on school board. But introduce you and all of the hats you wear.
Yeah, what's going on, y'all? My name is Austin Edwards. Born and raised here in Trenton, Rutherford Avenue is where I grew up. Came back to Trenton, specifically working as an attorney now in the city. President of the Trenton NAACP. Let me see, on a few different nonprofit boards, but been serving as a member of the Trenton School Board for the last few years, and now I'm running for re-election this year.
All right. All right. I see you skipped a couple things, but we'll let you right. But
What did I miss, bro? What did I miss?
TDA.
TDA, yeah. Board chair of the Downtown Association, making sure that our downtown businesses, all the residents, all the visitors can have a good time and really enjoy our downtown. Absolutely.
All right. See, I told you he wasn't going to say anything. But let's start with you, right? You say you left Trenton for a while and you came back. I know you went to a couple private schools, things of that sort. Talk about your upbringing in Trenton and your process.
Yeah, so like I started off, I was born on Rutherford Ave, and I went to specifically Christian schools while I was growing up here, right? So my parents really wanted, like, I was, church all day, Pentecostal church, right? So, Christian school wasn't even a question, right? So
Right.
Faith Christians where I went to out in Hamilton, K to 8. And then I went to Notre Dame High School, right?
Okay.
And realistically, that was one of the things that really shaped me into who I am today, because like every day I would see the two worlds that existed, right? Between Trenton, between Hamilton, between Trenton and like Robbinsville, and between Trenton and Lawrence, right? And even as a kid, I said, why is there such a disparity? Like, I'd come home to Trenton every day and I'm just like, yo, why are there potholes everywhere I go? Why are there people that are struggling, just to get by, right? I had a lot of friends that, lost their lives due to like health conditions or lost their lives due to gun violence, right? And none of my friends that were in school ever had any of those conversations. Like, that just wasn't their life whatsoever, right? And so I was just like, something's going on here, right? It wasn't until somewhere in like sophomore, junior year, right? Which, crazy enough, was the first time I had a civics class, right? And in that, my teacher first taught us like the power of government. And he taught us that government is one of those things that distributes resources like money and power, and where these things go. And it kind of opened my eyes. It's just like, oh, places like Robbinsville and Hamilton and Lawrence, this is where money and power are going. And places like Trenton aren't getting that. Right? So that's what eventually got me down to Howard, right? Down in DC, because, I mean, other than the fact that Howard is the greatest HBCU out there, right? So I'm just going to put that out there shamelessly, right? But being in DC, where that's the seat of government, right? And especially in 2008, when Obama first came in office, right? That was the golden years right there. So I had the opportunity to work on Capitol Hill for a bunch of different federal agencies, for the judiciary, right? Worked for a bunch of judges, because I knew in my head, I was like, I got to figure out how this government thing really works so I can come back to my hometown and make sure the government really works for us and my community. And that's what I'm doing every day, bro.
Wow. Dang. I got a lot from that. Thing that's sticking in my head right now is DC and your connections from that time period.
Mm-hmm.
Um, are you still in touch with those judges and those people from your college connections?
Absolutely, man. I talked to a few of my college professors literally within the past few months. Some of them are, my fraternity brothers, or some of them I just keep in contact with them, touch base with their families. Some of them, like I said, working on Capitol Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were Congress people, right?
Right.
They may visit up here in New Jersey from time to time, like Benny Thompson, right? I'm still like one of those, congressional nerds, right? But he was the dude that was up there on the stage impeaching Trump, right? Like that was that guy I had an internship with, right? And able to, keep those connections with him and his staff, right? And I think that's important because you can't lose that, right? You can't lose those ability to, get those resources, get those connections, and maintain those relationships, because these are the people that same thing, maintain resources, maintain power, right? And really just help guide you, right? A lot of times, just being in these spaces, you feel like nobody really understands, right? Like the higher that you go, right? Kind of lonelier it is, right? But if anything, these are the people that have been doing it for like, 10, 20, 50 years, right? And have been through the trenches, right? And can really just tell you, it's just like, nah, bro, keep your head up, right? Expect this, expect that. These are the potholes, right? You're going to face this. Be prepared for that. And just know you gotta keep your head up so you can really benefit your community at the end of the day, because they've been through it all.
All right. I want to touch on a little bit of you being an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What's that like? Like, what was that process like? We got a couple attorneys in Trenton, few far between. What was the dedication like? I have a friend right now that's also about to become an attorney. Shout out to Pac. But yeah, what was the process like of making that happen, and what knowledge do you have that can also, you know, expound on the politics from being a lawyer and also being a politician?
Yeah, so from Howard undergrad, I went straight through to Howard Law School, and it was like a huge transition for me, right? Because undergrad is essentially you're competing with yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like every day you're going to class, it's just like, all right, cool, I'm gonna get some A's, I'm gonna get some B's, right? I studied, right? It'll be all right. But Howard Law was the first time where I had to sit in a room with 50 to 100 to 150 other like extremely smart black people from across the world
Right.
and compete with them,
Mm.
right? Law school is different because you're not just competing with yourself for an A. You're competing with everybody else for a certain amount of A's, a certain amount of B's, a certain amount of C's. And that's it. Like wherever you fall, right? So you're sitting back in the same study groups with the same people. It's just like, yo, my man right next to me, like, is he going to get the A or am I? Right? But it was good at Howard because despite the fact that we're all competing with each other, like we all still had each other's back. And that was I call it like being in Wakanda at the end of the day, right? It's just like, yo, we're all like sparring with each other, but we
Right.
still know, push come to shove, ain't nobody coming through the shield, right? Like we all still got each other's back. So it was spectacular, man. It was a great place to really sharpen each other's steel. And I was grateful for it, especially from what I was saying, being in these predominantly white spaces growing up, right? Just being able to really cook for a few years in that oven at Howard, really like refined who I was as a person and refined the vision and the reason why I wanted to come back and get back to my people.
Okay. You say you grew up in white spaces. Um, yeah, you're from Rutherford,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're
Rough
talking
Ag.
about going to school, talking about school, the spaces in school
Mm-hmm.
that you were at. What was your home life? Did you go to the park? Did you get to spend more time? Or were your parents a little strict and you didn't get to maybe navigate around Trenton as much? And did that have an effect on you later on?
Bro, I was still a street like kid. All right, so during the day, still out and about. I always had friends like the Davises. They were like my go-to people. Shout out Jordy and Gerard. Definitely loved them. The Sweats that were down Rutherford Ave. My man Joel. Lost touch with him over the years, but hope he's doing well. And some people even like being at Faith Christian, right? That were just generally from Trenton. Like we still hung out, but
Right.
we had the idea like still, when the street lights come in, you're inside, right? Wasn't no question about it. But it really was even outside of my friends on Rutherford Ave. It was a neighborhood that really raised me, right? Uh, it's one of those things. It's like until and I heard this from people I interact with today, right? Until you know you're poor, you don't even know you're poor, right? I had people that were like unhoused, right? I had people that were, still struggling to eat, right? And we would take them in X, Y, and Z, and it wasn't even a thing because they were just family,
Yeah.
right? And it may have just been the fact that we went to church all the time, and it may have been the fact like this is just how we were raised, right? But they were just family, right? Um, there was a point in time, right, and I'm gonna be honest with you, where we needed some help, right? There was we eventually. So a bit of background, right? My parents, uh, they were involved in real estate, right? There was a point where we owned somewhere around about 20 houses or so throughout Trenton.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Last hat that I wear, right? I'm a real estate investor today. I own somewhere around like 7, 8 houses, right, between here and Camden. And I learned it all through my parents, right? Another reason I do what I do, financial education, whole jazz, is because during that time period was a financial crash.
Right. There's a recession going on.
Exactly. So because we were black, we were subject to those subprime loans. Not knowing all them things that were happening, right? Before that crash happened, it crashed on us. So all those 20 houses, including the house that we grew up in, we lost, bro. And so for a good 5 years, right, we didn't have a house. Like we lost our house ourselves. Like we were bouncing on couches between family, friends, and X, Y, and Z.
From 20 houses to
To nothing at all. To couches. And so even the work that I do today, I have a lot of sympathy and empathy for people because I was there. Right? Like I can't look down on somebody when I was in that position myself. Right? So it's like you say, like growing up and all, right? Like that's one of those things, like it shapes you,
right.
right? And makes you who you are. But I don't know where I was going with that question and answer, but yeah, man, it's you have to take that all in mind, right? And it helps shape the work where you're at today.
All right. Let's move a little forward from college now.
Mm-hmm.
You graduate. You come home.
Mm-hmm.
Do you come home? Because I know a lot of college kids, they don't come back. You know what I'm saying? I've seen people go to college and just not come back because guess what?
Mm-hmm.
You're smart enough. You learned how to survive. You learned how to make money. You could stay where you're at. You could get a 2-bedroom with one of your friends. You could have met someone.
Yeah.
So many different things. So what happened? Tell me about your process after college, after law school. What are you thinking? Did you meet someone?
Yeah,
I know you're married now.
Them brunches in D.C., they were tempting, bro. They were real tempting to stay down there. So post college, right? Yeah, there was a good chance. I knew at a certain point I was coming back to Trenton. That was a goal. How I got back here, that was uncertain, right? So my plan initially was to go into the Army, right?
Okay.
I got accepted into the Army JAG program, which means I was going to be an Army lawyer. Right? But God has a funny way of working, right? So my now wife, right, we've been married almost 10 years now, 9.5 years, right? Of my life. Thank you, brother.
Gotta clap it up for that, man. Clap it up for some black love. 10 years.
Met sophomore year at Howard, and God bless her for sticking with me all these years. But we, 2015, yeah, supposed to go into the Army. Uh, Went through, it was supposed to be like basic training, right? They're just like, yo, we don't care what rank you are, you're going through basic, the whole situation. Supposed to go down to Georgia, right, for basic
You
training.
like as smart as I am, I still gotta run a mile.
Bro, yo, get ready for that mile. Your push-ups, your sit-ups better be on point. Like, they were serious about that.
But you're like, I'm a lawyer.
So you need me to throw some books at some people? Like, what am I going to do out here? So I was literally training, right, the entire summer post-graduation, getting ready for that. Before you go to basic, they do like a preliminary medical exam on you, right? So I was sitting in a room with a bunch of literally like 17, 18-year-olds, right, about to get shipped out. I go through my whole medical thing, same thing, whole summer just doing laps, bro, just laps, getting ready for this. Come October-ish, they're just like, yeah, so we got some news for you. Yeah, your physicals are good, everything's cool with that. But yeah, your eyesight's a little out of whack, bro, so we gotta rescind your offer.
You can't wear glasses in the Army? No, that's crazy though. Now that you say that, I don't know too many people that was wearing like what's the beef?
Yo, and it was
You couldn't get
too.
contacts or something? Like what's
Yo, I couldn't. It was like a catch-22. They were just like, yeah, your eyesight's out of whack, and you can't get LASIK or contacts because if you do that before you're in the Army, then it disqualifies you. But if you get it while you're in the Army, then you're good. And yo, it was
What?
wild, bro. It was wild. It was absolutely wild. So I got DQ'd, right? Couldn't go into the Army.
Damn.
Right. So at that time, yeah, insane.
But I mean, I couldn't have went to the Army either.
Crazy stuff.
Damn.
Crazy stuff. So I eventually started working in private. I worked for a financial firm, Ernst & Young, for a few years. At that time, my wife, she got accepted into Wharton Business School at UPenn. So we lived in Philly for a few years. I was commuting. Absolutely hated the job at E&Y, bro. Like, it was finance. It was working for private. Like, the whole goal was just to make, like, these private companies more money, right? Like, wasn't involved in the community whatsoever.
Yeah.
I was commuting between Secaucus all the way down to Wilmington, Delaware, like, back and forth every day. Yo, it was insane, bro. Hated it every day, but had to do what I had to do for the family at the time. We eventually got back to Trenton in 2018 because my wife graduated. I got a job at the New Jersey Attorney General's office. They extended the offer to me. And then my wife got a job up in New York at Estee Lauder.
Who was Matthew Plankton, New Jersey Attorney General at that time?
So he wasn't the one. It was Grubir Graywall. He was coming in at the time. Yep. And who was Phil Murphy. He just got elected in. Yeah, so it was a whole regime change that was happening. We moved to downtown to Mill Hill so I could walk to my job every day, drop my wife off at the train station. She'd go up to New York. Like, everything was chill, right? So God works in mysterious ways. Got us up here to Trenton.
Oh, wow. So 2018,
Yes,
you back in the city.
mm-hmm.
What do you see?
So at the time, I was hopeful that Trenton would change, right? I think we were coming off the Christie years, right? We had a new governor. I think at the time we got a new mayor, right? Everybody was like real hopeful that things would start to come around. I was hopeful too, right? Especially the fact that I wasn't commuting from Secaucus down to Wilmington anymore. I was walking to work, right? 2 years married, right? Still in the honeymoon years, right? Everything was beautiful. So, that's what I was seeing, right? Still working in the community. At that time, I was 2 or 3 years volunteering with NAACP because somehow, some way, I was just like, there's 28 hours in a day and 12 days in a week, right? So I would actually come to Trenton from Philly right? And volunteer my time there on weekends whenever I could find some time. Working with NAACP, working with
Mm-hmm.
other nonprofits and stuff like that. Yeah, just hopeful that things would change, right? Little by little, just trying to get back as much as I could.
Okay. When did you start getting into the political space? After how long did you're in Trenton now? You're working with the Attorney General. When did you decide like, okay, let me start paying attention, going to these events, or just becoming more aware of that space now that you're back?
To be real with you, I would say always in that space, right? And I would encourage a lot of people to think the same way, right? I think a lot of people shy away from politics,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's some dirty word or something like that.
Right, right.
But in reality, like all of life is politics, right?
Exactly.
Your
But
family is politics. Your job is politics, right? Like politics exists all around you, and like the big bad politics that we all think of, right? It's meaningful and it matters for our community, right? I put politics. I say it like this, right? The politics that we all think is scary,
mm-hmm.
flip it on its head, right? Don't think of the mayor as somebody that you should bow down to, right? Don't think of the school board as somebody that you should bow down to. Think of them as public servants, because that's what they are. And when you break that word down, public servant,
Mm-hmm.
to serve the public.
Government works for you.
Simple as that, bro.
Now that you mentioned school board, let's get into it.
All right, go ahead. Do your
So
thing.
this is when I learned what school board was.
Mm-hmm.
I learned what school board was when I realized, like, because I come from a basketball background.
Mm-hmm.
The city has maybe 2 to 3 gyms that they like own, like that's their gyms that they control, which is the West Ward and San Naples,
Mm-hmm.
right? From my understanding, and I'm like, okay, so why can't the city of Trenton, be able to mitigate us going to the schools? That they like, oh, that's school board territory. I'm like, well, who was that? I'm like, I'm like, who they like? And they like, yeah, school board of education run. Yeah, you can't get in them schools without them. So that's when I kind of seen that distinction between those two parties, right? Not to say they're different parties, two different organizations, right? So, but tell me a little bit more about school board.
Yeah, man. So I guess the big bad boogeyman of the school board, right? So short and sweet, the job that we do uh, is really just to make sure that our kids have the best access to education that they can. That's it in a huge nutshell,
Yeah.
right? How that looks is that we make sure that they have the best schools, facilities as possible, that they have the best curriculum, the best books, that they have the best teachers that are coming in, the best
Mhm.
administrators, the best food that we can feed them every day.
Oh, so that's
Um,
why I was getting that bad food. I had a bad school board back in the day. All right, keep going.
yeah, we have some crazy stuff, but we're working on it, bro. We're working on fixing that stuff. But literally, all the things that make a school run, like, think about it. If you're sitting, think about yourself as a kid, right? Sitting behind a desk. You talk to a teacher every day. You go out to recess, right? The building that you're sitting in, the books that you're reading, right? Just literally the everyday thing that you're doing as a kid at that desk. We make sure that you have the best experience possible, right?
All right.
And because it's Trenton, it's not specifically right our task, but we know that these kids can't thrive without having good families and that families are supported. So we make sure that their family structure is good too. So we look out for the parents as much as we can.
So, what's on your campaign for school board? The things that you want to change versus what is currently happening with school board? Like, what are you fighting for?
Yeah. So myself, we're running on the slate. It's myself, Austin Edwards, right? Jeannie Weecom, and Janelli DeLeon, right? Our campaign slogan is education for all, right? And that means literally as it says, right? We want to make sure that regardless of background in Trenton, that you have the best education for everyone, right? Best curriculum, best access to job opportunities, best opportunity for college access, best access to teachers, right, coming into the districts, best schools that we can provide for you.
Mm-hmm.
Literally just excellent opportunities, right? Um, how does that look, right, in day to day, right? I've been on school board for 4 years now, right? I remember when I first came on school board, there was almost every day like some video of a fight that was happening, right? Now, I don't know if you remember that, Lou, but I remember distinctly like everybody was just like, yo, what is the school board doing to fix these fights that are happening in schools all the time? I'm a community guy. And the thing I advocated day in, day out, right? It's just like, yo, we're gonna have conversations about throwing money at things and yada 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 and all that jazz. But why don't we make sure that the community is part of fixing this problem, right? I advocated for things like the street teams coming into schools, because the street teams, right, both of them are Trenton-based people that have been trained up in social work,
Mm-hmm.
that have mental health counseling, right, that are like literally know these kids, know these families from the same neighborhoods that they're from.
I remember that it was some pushback. Some people didn't want the street teams in the schools. They
Mm-hmm.
had to fight to get in there. I worked for the street teams for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, I think it made an impact. It's shown in the numbers that
Mm-hmm.
putting people who are from the community at school letouts and school drop-offs makes a difference. Even though they're hands off, they're just there. You see them, and
Yep.
then a lot of words can stop a lot of different things before physically. But even like
Absolutely.
adding more security,
Mm-hmm.
are some things that I think we should look into. But yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
street team is very, very, very beneficial, and it shows in the numbers.
Yeah, and having the street teams, literally, what you've seen from the time I came in to today, like I said, there were fights happening almost every day. It's like we were being sent videos almost every day
Yeah,
of fights that were happening. I'm not saying it doesn't happen today anymore, but you'd be hard pressed to find that happening, because
it's
these street
less.
teams are talking to these kids every day, diffusing situations, and making sure things don't escalate to the point where fights even get like started in the first place.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, high school is a difficult time period for a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of different things going on. You got people who are kind of subjected to different things based upon their upbringing, and then you grow up feeling being taught that you're not allowed to be cool with somebody from the other side, and then y'all all come to the same school. So
Mm-hmm.
those pressures
Mm-hmm.
a lot of kids face with, and these are very impressionable kids in an impressionable time period,
Mm-hmm.
where if you're taught not to like this person, and you're impressionable. So I feel like a lot of times we, diffuse a lot of these fights by promoting critical thinking. Like,
Absolutely.
you don't like him because he grew up over there, and then don't you have a cousin that live over there? So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like the more we inspire critical thinking, you kind of reduce the violence. And I think those are some of the things the street teams does. They have those conversations. They talk to those kids. So
Yeah, man.
yeah, I
Absolutely.
think that I think it's very important to um, reduce the fighting. However, I'm a basketball guy. Not even just basketball. What about recreation? Like, or what power does the school board have to create more activities, after school activities, after school programs, and these type of things? I don't know if they can create programs or they fund them or whatever the case may be. I
Mm-hmm.
think
Mm-hmm.
more things are needed. And
Mm-hmm.
why does it seem like the school board and the city are not on the same unison? Why does it seem like they are two independent parties both fixing things that way and they're fixing things that way? I don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely understand, bro. So I'm gonna take that in two pieces, right? So the funding aspect, right? Uh, One of the things that I do is policy work, right? So, like I was saying, where I worked at the Capitol Hill, right? I also work at the state capitol, right? Advocating for a lot of good policies to get passed and most importantly, get funded, right? One of the things that we say on the state capitol,
Mm-hmm.
is that your budget is a moral document, and that specifically means you put your money where your mouth is.
Right.
The things that are most important to you is what you pay for.
You're gonna fund it if you believe in it.
1,000%. So the things that we fund in district are those after school things, right? So it's not just, all right, we're throwing a bunch of money into football, right? We're just throwing money in basketball. No shade, Lil. I know it's important to you, right?
No, no, really, we need more creative things.
Mm-hmm.
Not even just basketball, because everybody, some of y'all ain't got it. You know what I mean? So we need other avenues, bro. We can't have everybody ain't got it.
I'm one of those people that ain't got it, bro. Yo, that's why I went to law school, bro. Straight books, straight books.
Yeah, but I think we just need more spaces. That's it.
Yeah, but one of the few other things that we fund, right, that are really important, like you're saying, right, we just funded like millions of dollars worth of after school for design clubs, right? After school art clubs, after school dance clubs, after
Yes.
school AI clubs, after school
That's what we need.
like Capital City High, for example, right? We've made that essentially into a trade school, right? Because we found that that was important, right? One of the things that I also advocated for is that not all kids are meant to go to college,
Yes.
right? Some people like to work with their hands. Some people aren't meant for books. Whatever it is, like college doesn't have to be your only path, right?
That's so important.
And so we're just like, how do we make sure that we have a path for other kids to, succeed in life, right? So what was formerly Daylight Twilight, where people were just like, all right, this is where you send bad kids. We changed that, flipped it on its head, right? And I was like, let's make this into a trade school. So all those programs I was talking about are some of the things that we're funding, but that AI club that we started at Capital City High. We have tech programs that we're starting at Capital City High. We have an aviation program there. Like, we're training kids to become literal pilots at Capital City High right now. Like, everything we're doing is not just because it's really cool to do. And drone programs, that was the other thing that I was really dope. Like, we need to start that. All of that is because we want our kids to start like almost day one with 6-figure jobs.
That's all really dope. Like, honestly, you got my vote. But on the second part of the question,
Yep.
how can you improve this? I won't say it's a dispute or the bridge between the school board and the city of Trenton, which I feel like should be like this. And
Yeah.
it probably was before. It probably shifted a little bit. Probably just disagree on some things, or they probably just operate in different cohesion. So how can we bridge that gap? How can you bridge that gap?
Yeah, so we continually reach out to the mayor's office. We continually reach out to city council. Um, it's one of those things, like, we never close the door on it, right? We have liaisons to both of those offices, because at the end of the day, right, it's not one of those things like we ever harbor any bad blood or anything like that. Like, yeah, we may not be on the same page with everything, but for us on the school board, at the end of the day, the kids are the only things that matter, right? Like, we don't put the kids in between any adult stuff at the end of the day, right? The kids are the only things that we focus on, all right? So whatever we got to do to make sure that these kids are excelling, we will climb a mountain and make sure that they're good.
We'll take that meeting and we'll make it happen.
Oh, a
That's
thousand
what I
times
love to
over.
hear, man.
1,000 times over.
That's what I want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so promise me one deliverable right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what you're going to do for sure. Like, what's something that's on your list this come November when you get in that seat that you will deliver our kids?
So I will make sure we're in the process right now. We went through 5 year strategic plan, right? We're in the process right now of going through it again, seeing what things worked, what seeing things didn't work, revamping it again. I'm personally going to make sure that we go to each one of the wards and hear from the community. I'll be at each one of the meetings, and I'm not just going to do this myself. I'm challenging the whole community. Come out, tell us. Like I said about public servants, I'm here to serve. Tell me how I can do my job better.
Send me the flyer so I can post them, and I'm
Facts.
gonna go to the ones I can because I think that's important. I think roundtable discussions are important. So send us the flyer so we come, and especially I might even have some of the kids there. You
Good.
never know. Let's hear from the students.
Absolutely.
Let's hear from the people that are being affected by our decisions. Right, the
100%.
same way where people we kind of lose connection sometimes because we're making the decisions, but they're the ones being impacted. So what do they want? What do the kids want? Are they tired of certain lunches? Are they tired of certain block hours or certain requirements not working? Or like we gotta listen to the kids. I mean, some of the kids gonna be like, no school at all. No, you gotta go to school.
Go ahead and sit down, Johnny. Go ahead and sit down.
But there's some things that I feel like they can articulate that will work.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to that point, man, we actually made it a point to bring these students onto the school board itself, right? So we have kids from, and we rotated out.
Student council.
Yep.
Basically.
Yeah, so they're this year from Trenton High, student body government are sitting on our school board, right? Literally, they don't have seats up there on the whole diocese because it gets real cramped up there. Literally, there's like 15 people up there right now, but they got seats to the side. But they go in the back with us. They chop it up with us. Anything that we need to do, right? We include them in that conversation as well because we need to hear their voices. Simple as that.
Man, all right, man. There y'all have it. We got an educated young black man from Trenton,
Yep.
Advocating for our kids' right for school board. Sounds like a great candidate to me. Y'all can listen to it, make your own decisions. He went to Howard. He's a lawyer. He understands, creating different components for kids. He's not an athlete by any means because the Army said no.
By any means.
So we know that he's gonna open different avenues, like aviation. We know that he has an open mind. So I actually love it for the kids because you're gonna have all that other stuff from other people. So I feel like we need people that's gonna see from a different lens. So I'm all for it. Is there anything you want to leave them with before we get out of here?
Listen, I want y'all to be as involved as I am, right? I'm knocking on a bunch of doors, right, throughout the city. Myself, Jeannie, and Danelli, right? We're really putting in the work across the school board, across the city. Like I said, make sure you come out, vote for us by November 4th, but most importantly, keep showing up on November 5th because that's the most important, and every day past that. Keep telling us how we can keep doing the job, how it's going right, how it's going wrong, because we are public servants. And we want to know how we can do our job to keep serving y'all.
All right, get it. They work for us. All right, we out.